Singapore is planning a second marine park to help strengthen the overall ecosystem in the southern islands. Now, along with the first park, both areas are expected to help preserve Singapore's marine biodiversity. The Sisters Islands Marine Park was first established in 2014. The 40-hectare area covered Sisters Island and the western reefs of St. John's Island and Pulau Tekukur. A small Sisters Island was dedicated to marine conservation, research and a turtle hatchery. The Big Sisters Island, meantime, served as a space for public outreach, education and recreation. And the new marine park, well, that will cover the southern, terrestrial and eastern coastal area of Lazarus Island and the northeastern coast of Kusu Island. NParks completed an ecological study of Singapore and its islands 2 years ago, and it found marine currents flow between the Sisters Islands and Lazarus South Kusu Reef, meaning that their coral populations were interdependent. Currents flowing out of the area also give biodiversity to the surrounding waters. These factors made for some of the best reefs in Singapore. Scientists observed 141 coral species on Kusu Island alone. Some of these are rare or even endangered. NParks says that these reefs are ideal to transplant to other areas, which can help expand Singapore's overall coral cover. On land, Lazarus South, well, it has one of the largest tracts of mature forests where native plant species are thriving. These include the rare Pelir Musang and Nika bean plants. NParks says that the Southern Islands serve as a critical marine habitat in Singapore. It will work with the Urban Redevelopment Authority and Friends of the Marine Park to determine boundaries of the new park. This is expected to take place in the second half of this year. The planned marine park is expected to bring new opportunities. Researchers and visitors will be able to learn and explore more about the area. Nicholas Ng finds out more about its unique flora and fauna.
A short boat ride away from Singapore lies Lazarus and Kusu Islands. If all goes to plan, they will be part of the country's second marine park. There is a startling amount of biodiversity beneath the waves of the proposed marine park on the south side of Lazarus Island and on Kusu Reef. There are well over 100 species of corals in these waters, and that's before we start talking about the plant life on Lazarus Island. Beyond the scenic views are rare coastal forests and coral reefs, teeming with aquatic life. Its proximity to the first marine park creates an interconnected ecosystem.
This second marine park area is not just coral reefs, but it's a whole diversity of habitats. So it is really interesting, important to researchers. And that's the connectivity between this park and the one at St. John's at the Sisters Islands Marine Park.
Protecting this ecosystem is one of the main reasons why this marine park was first established. But it's not the only reason.
It will enable us to strengthen marine and terrestrial conservation. It will provide tremendous opportunity for education and research, and provide spaces for nature-based recreation done sensitively. And all this is also very important in an era where climate change and its impacts are more keenly felt.
Scientists say that the effects of global warming can take years, if not decades, to be felt in underwater ecosystems like coral reefs. That's why some researchers welcome the area's planned designation as a marine park.
How they respond to things like climate change, which happens in ecological timescales, in longer timescales. It's very exciting to know that this area is going to be protected for research to be conducted in this relevant and long-term timescale, relevant to the coral, relevant also to a lot of the other organisms and the ecosystem function as well.
The boundaries of the new proposed marine park are still being looked at and is expected to be finalised next year.
For more analysis, I'm joined now by Associate Professor Huang Danwei. He is Deputy Head of the Lee Kong Chian Natural History Museum at the National University of Singapore. Professor Huang, good evening. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
So, Professor Huang, what factors do we actually have to look at when we're trying to identify, areas that are important for marine conservation?
Well, there are a lot of factors we can look at. However, there are actually, a few considerations we need to think about first, right? The first is, what are the goals of the conservation project that you are interested in? So, for instance, if your goal is just to conserve marine biodiversity, to exclude people, then it's quite easy to just designate an area and you can fence it off, right? But if you want to engage people, have more stakeholders be engaged in the activities of the marine park, to be engaged in conservation, then you would find an area where you can do those activities, right? Bring people together, have it as a community project. But the other consideration is also that if there were other marine parks already existing, then your question would be, how do I complement the first one? And I think that is the core of this second marine park, is how do we site this second marine park so that it complements the first one.
The other park, which is at Sisters Island, already has specific activities that take place here, the turtle hatchery and so on. This new marine park that's planned, it's just a few kilometres away from that. So, and we do understand there's some interconnectedness between these two sites. How significant is it going to be as a sort of a core habitat in to complement what's already being done on Sisters Island?
Yeah, it's an interesting area because the area that is designated or going to be designated as a second marine park is not huge, right? But it encompasses many different habitats. So we have rocky shores, we have a sandy beach, we have seawalls, and a coral reef, offshore coral reef. So in terms of representation, it achieves that. But also all of these ecosystems, we're looking at second marine park, but actually we are looking at a total of 6 islands that are now part of this network of marine parks. And so knowing that there's connectedness between these ecosystems in terms of, the larvae is moving from one island to another, and that helps to increase the resilience of any one of these ecosystems. Because, for instance, if you have one of these sites which are disturbed by climate change or any other threat, then you can actually have a faster recovery because it will recruit biodiversity or recruit larvae from another site that is part of this marine park system.
Right, the ecosystem there is so delicate. There's a fine balance.
That's right.
And as you say, there are threats as well to that. Climate change, of course, being one of the main ones that we have to tackle. But in terms of the challenges in what has been done already at Sisters Island, and then with a view to what will happen with this new marine park, what do you anticipate being the challenges that we've already seen and perhaps how we might be able to tackle them?
I think you mentioned climate change. That is an existential threat for many of these ecosystems, whether they are protected or not. And so, for instance, we know in 2016 and in 2020 there was coral bleaching. So the corals are under stress because of the high temperatures. So even in Sisters Islands Marine Park, you see that happening. But if there is a system of a network of marine parks which protects multiple ecosystems, then that connectivity will increase the ability for these ecosystems to recover. So I think the threats are very real, climate change, but also other coastal development projects which can cause sedimentation, cause stress to corals. But I think that connectedness and the ability to conserve complementary ecosystems is a strength of this second marine park.
Yeah, and without the risk of competing for resources between management and planning of the two, I would assume. Because is this a case of one is good, two is better?
Having a second marine park is not by no means an easy task for the government, for all the agencies involved. We would like as many areas to be designated, but of course, this requires a lot of planning, years of planning, and to achieve this, this second marine park within 10 years of the first one, I think it speaks to the commitment that the government has to protect some of these ecosystems, these delicate ecosystems. Yeah.
Right, and of course you want to be able to balance recreation as well as conservation, and you're convinced we'll be able to do that, yeah?
I think the important thing is that we need to allow people to appreciate, what they are going to be conserving, and so allowing some access is going to be important to encourage stakeholders to join us in conserving marine ecosystems.
Yeah, education is going to be key. Good luck and all the best with this project as well. Professor Huang, thank you very much for coming into the studios to talk to us about this. That was Associate Professor Huang Danwei. He's Deputy Head of the Lee Kong Chian Natural History Museum at NUS. Thank you.